The CF Moto 400 NK is arguably the bike that got the brand noticed back in 2020, at least here in the Philippines. It kind of looks like the Duke 390, and it's one of the more affordable ways to get on the expressway. If you live in the Philippines, you understand why that's important. Now, the brand wanted to go bigger, and that's why there was the 650, the 450, and even the 800. Now, those bikes have their own fan base, but they also wanted to be a little bit more premium, and those bikes kind of lacked something in that department. And that's why they created the 675 triples. Now, earlier this year, I got to test out the 675 SR over in the Portimao track in Portugal, and I absolutely enjoyed that bike. I loved it, in fact. And during that trip, they also allowed me to test out the 675 NK on the go-kart track. And today we get to test it out in real-world riding, and it's happening in this episode of Beyond the Ride. Now, when CF Moto creates a new platform, they typically will start with sport bikes. And they believe if they get that right, they can move on to the naked and other bikes from there. Now, because they felt that they got the SR right, which I do agree, I absolutely think they did, they created this, the NK. It's got a 675cc inline 3-cylinder 4-stroke liquid-cooled dual overhead cam engine with a power output of 94 horsepower at 11,000 RPM and 70 Newton meters of torque at 8,250 RPM. For the suspension, over in the front, you get 41mm inverted Kayaba forks, fully adjustable with 130mm of travel. For the rear, you get a Kayaba monoshock, which is fully adjustable as well with 130mm of travel. For the front stopping powers, you get dual 300mm discs with J1 radial 4-piston calipers. And for the rear, you get a 240mm disc with a single piston J1 caliper. ABS is standard. For the wheels and tires, you get 120/70 for the front, 180/55 for the rear, both on 17s, and they are wrapped with CST tires. Now let's talk about the aesthetics of the bike. It's a proper, aggressive, sporty naked. Not typically my cup of tea, but if you like aggressive naked bikes, I mean, this is a pretty good one. Now, obviously the headlight is something that stands out. They've been doing this for the more recent NKs. And it's a hit or miss for some people. Some people really love it. Some people find it a little bit too alien-ish. But yeah, so a little bit more sci-fi. I guess whoever designed the bike is a fan of movies like Tron. And I get it. I absolutely understand. Now let's talk about the build quality. Now with the older NKs, you could find little things here and there where it felt like CF Moto kind of skimped on. They kind of said, you know what, let's save a little bit of money. Let's do the fall carbon fiber type of thing. I have nothing to complain about when you look at the build quality of the bike. I mean, they got this right. Just like the SR, the 675 SR, I felt that they got that bike right. I mean, just like this one as well. I can't find anything wrong with it. I really can't. Now the switches, these are very CF Moto. I mean, if you've ever ridden one of the newer CF Motos, this will be very familiar to you. There is a little bit of play here on the throttle, but you know, this is a little bit you can forgive this. This is typical for a lot of many bikes out there anyway. But that's something that also can be fixed. Side mirrors are good. The seating position is good as well. I mean, it's aggressive enough, but still relaxed and comfortable. Again, yeah, I can't find anything to really complain about the aesthetics of the bike. I really can't. It's got a 5-inch TFT with phone connectivity. There is a CF Moto app that you can connect it to. You know, it gives you all the information that you need. It is, you know, the sun is pretty strong right now. You can still read it. And it's actually a pretty nice TFT, I have to say. Again, the previous other models of the CF Motos, the TFT was okay. I would say they improved it significantly with the 675s. The wet weight of the bike is 189 kilograms and the fuel tank capacity is 15 liters, which is typical for a bike like this. And you can get about 18 kilometers per liter depending on how you ride, which is also not bad at all. And the seat height is 810 millimeters. And that's what it looks like for somebody who is 5'6" with a 764mm inseam. All right, so let's do a quick sound test, shall we? This bike actually sounds really good. Sounds good. Can't believe a CF Moto sounds like that. Okay, so the seating position, as I mentioned, it is somewhat aggressive, but still pretty comfortable. I mean, it's pretty much what you would expect from a naked bike like this. I could imagine taking on for a long ride, not a problem. It's a bike that I would definitely enjoy for long distances as well. Obviously, it's a naked, so you get zero wind protection, but that's the way bikes like this tend to be. Easy to use bike. It's got some pretty good power as well. It's extremely nimble, I'll say that. I mean, the bike is a whole lot more nimble than I had anticipated. So it's fun. It's definitely a bike that you can have a lot of fun with. It's a triple, right? Most triples are kind of borderline or can be hooligan bikes. They're a lot of fun to ride, and it sounds so good, I have to say. This bike definitely sounds excellent. And I have to add, it's a stock pipe. I mean, that's not an aftermarket pipe that's slapped on there. This is the way, out of the showroom floor, this is the way the bike would sound. So it does have a quick shifter, but just up, and it works pretty well, and there's no auto blip, it doesn't go down. Just like the SR, it's the same as the sport bike version of this bike. Now, can you make it an up and down? Maybe somebody can do it, but CF Moto, I guess, would prefer only up. Now, but this is definitely loaded with tech and a lot of features. As I mentioned, you don't normally see it in the price range of this bike or in this category. And that's kind of what CF Moto has historically done, right? They kind of give you more for less, and that's kind of been their motto through the years, and it's worked well for them. It really definitely has. Now, as I play around with the bike a little bit more, you know, it actually doesn't have riding modes. I mean, the bike that I used in Portugal, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember well, that bike had at least 2 riding modes. It does have different traction controls. You can definitely play around with that. You know, some places you get bikes with more power, etc., and more options, with also different parts. But because there are different emission rules across the world, bikes are kind of different in different markets. Like what we get here is slightly different than what they would get in the States, which is slightly different than what they get in Europe. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I guess maybe the bike that I tested out in Portugal was slightly different than the bikes that we get here in the Philippine market. Now, I would say that this bike is designed for maybe slightly more experienced riders. I mean, if you're more of a beginner, look at the 450. I think that would be a bit more, I guess, more for beginner riders out there. But this one is, in my opinion, it's a little bit more experienced. You know, like experienced riders. Maybe your second bike. You know, if you want the combination of power, technology, and style. With the aggressiveness of the way this bike looks, and this bike could be for you. Now, it's not the best at low revs, you know, riding around the city. You're typically, you know, first, second gear maybe, and it's not the best in low revs. I guess most triples are kind of like that. But when you get up in the rev range, that's when it becomes really fun. That's when it starts to scream and it lets out like other triples. It becomes It definitely is a bike that you can have a lot of fun with. So let's talk about the competition of this bike, right? Styling-wise, it's probably closer to the Yamaha MT-07, Kawasaki Z650. But if you're looking more for triples and closer to the same displacement, I would say maybe the Triumph Daytona and the Trident 660, because those are triples. This is a triple. Similar displacement, but if you're looking at this bike, the CF Moto 675 NK, you're probably also looking at the Honda CB650, but it's really more of the Neo Retro, in my opinion. That's also an inline four. This is a triple. But if you look at the pricing, right? You look at the pricing of all those bikes that I just mentioned. All those bikes are significantly more expensive than this bike. And this bike, you know, in classic CF Moto fashion, as I mentioned, it gives you a little bit more in terms of technology. Now, does it have a pedigree, the same pedigree as a Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda, or Triumph? Okay, maybe the branding wise it's not quite there, but they're also a little bit of a newer brand, right? They're also a little bit newer. Yes, there is a stigma about riding a bike out of China, but if you're just looking at the bike in a vacuum, it's more affordable, it gives you more stuff, and it's also a lot more fun. Get away from the stigma of CF Moto, where the bike is from. It's a good bike, I have to say, you know. And the truth is, do you need any more power? Do you need a liter bike? Honestly, no. Not for riding on the road, not for daily riding, or maybe some occasional track days. Do you need more power? Well, this is enough. It should be enough to have loads of fun with, I have to say. I mean, I enjoy it. I really definitely enjoy this bike. And the truth is, I prefer this over the 800 NK. I really do. I think this is a better package. You get more, it is a lot more fun than the 800 NK. Yeah, I like this. I like it a lot. So people typically ask me, what's the top speed of that bike? And I actually have an answer for you for this one, because I was able to use this bike in the go-kart track over in Portugal, in Portimao. So I got the bike to a little over 200 kilometers per hour. I think it can go a little bit more. I just ran out of space, or I guess wasn't going fast enough out of the last turn. But I got it up there. I got it about a little over 200 kilometers per hour. So, but again, I was in a controlled environment. I was in my full race suit. So, you know, if you're gonna try and go for a top speed, that's probably the place to do it. Don't do it in public roads, please. The 2025 CF Moto 675 NK has unmatched value. It's got pretty good performance and a whole lot of tech, especially if you consider its price range. And if you're the type of rider that's prioritizing performance, power, styling, technology, and you want a middleweight naked, it definitely is a compelling choice. At a starting price tag of 409,900 Philippine pesos, it is an absolutely good deal. For more information about this bike and other MCs out there, log on www.motodeal.com.ph. My name is Gene Rufino. Thanks for watching this episode of Beyond the Ride.